I think so. We're all good. We're all good.
Ben, what's been the biggest difference with you? Maybe the biggest change this off season, now heading into your second season, having a year under your belt. What have you noticed as being maybe the biggest change?
No, it's probably one I haven't reflected on very much. To be honest with you, it's been enlightening in some ways because I've been able to step back and focus on what we did well a year ago at this time in the springtime. Which when I look back at it, I feel like we really did a nice job installing the offense to our guys, and they digested the information really well, and it applied to the fall time for us. So the transition into year one was really good. Going into year two for us as an offense, it really becomes less about learning the system all over again. It's more our theme this springtime has been back to the basics, and so we've been harping consistently on the fundamentals. We're breaking it down to the nuts and bolts for each position group, and our coaches have kind of led the charge on that. For me personally, I have a lot of confidence in the guys around me. Probably, if there's one thing I'd say from me a year ago, I micromanaged maybe a little bit too much. Just for the sake of making sure that we were all on the same page of what the vision was. And now that we've been together for a year, and we do have a couple new coaches, I have a lot more trust in these guys. They already know. They know the language. They know the vernacular. So there's been more individual meetings as opposed to offensive meetings because these guys know what the expectation is and they're running with it. And I have a huge comfort level with the coaching staff around me. So that's probably been the biggest change from year one to year two, just in terms of the second floor operation.
Back to the basics approach. Why do you want to be, whatever it is, the best team in the NFL at play action versus expanding the playbook even more?
You know, I think when we look back at what we did in self-scout, all of our plays from last year, I came away with it personally that even if we didn't run one new play this year, if we ran all the same plays that we ran last year, that we would be a better offense because we've got to execute better than what we did. And we did a lot of really nice things a year ago, and it really means nothing going forward to this year. We've got to be a lot better in terms of the execution, and we should be because we should know what the problems are for the plays that we're running now, run plays, protections, pass concepts. And so I personally expect a huge step forward in terms of the growth, the knowledge base of our players, the experience they have under their belts now. And so that's why the emphasis has been on the basics. Let's get really good at the fundamentals, because that's what helped us win games at the end of last year. The fact that we led the league in ball security, we didn't turn the ball over the second half of the season, that equated into wins for us. And so I think just the recognition of the little things all adding up and paying big dividends for us in offense, that's really the point of it. We will still push the envelope. We'll still be innovative and creative on offense. Don't get me wrong, but I just came away saying, shoot, man, we left a lot of meat on the bone in a lot of ways because I think I talked about it. Some of the runs we could have had explosives. We could have had 8-9 yards, and we were still at 3 to 4. So just a few things. Just when we looked back at last year.
You last year go from the turnovers that you had early to cost you to really there was a complete change late in the season where you weren't turning the ball over. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just recognition for each position group. I think we talked about Jared early on in the season, and he had some interceptions that he grimaces at when we watch him on tape right now. And I think the recognition that, hey, this is a problem and we got to get this corrected. All these guys came through. The same thing happened short yardage for us early in the season. We were the 31st ranked team the first half of the season in short yardage. We brought it to their attention. They took a lot of pride in getting it fixed, and we ended the season on a high note in terms of our short yardage percentage. So I think anytime we have a problem, just bringing it up and the acknowledgement, hey, we got to get this fixed, all hands on deck to get it fixed. And we've seen results in every facet that we've touched that way.
One little thing, the adding things to the playbook. I think Amon-Ra tells you like an evil mastermind or something like that. So I'm sure there's some little things you want to add in your head. Do you do that? Do you have a plan for that later in the season, or sprinkle them in on game-by-game basis, or, you know, some of the little things that maybe you're like, I do have this really cool play that I want to put in at the right time, I guess.
There's a couple of new things that we've implemented already this springtime to get a look at, get on tape, and coach up. And then in training camp, we'll probably push the envelope a little bit further. We just don't have enough reps right now. We need to get our foundation underneath of us and understand the foundation of what we're doing right now. So the springtime, you're not going to see a whole lot, but once we get into training camp, we'll start pushing the envelope there.
Talented and productive tailback tandem, lead tandem last year. Got a very talented tailback tandem this year. What's different about the two guys that you have now in their skill sets that maybe you didn't have last year?
Yeah, I don't know if I can compare them to last year right now. I mean, we've only been on the field here for a few weeks, and we don't even have pads on. But what I can say about that room is we have a lot of really hard workers. I'm very impressed with the professionalism of David Montgomery. He's come in from day one with a very deliberate thought process in terms of how he approaches the weight room, how he approaches meetings, how he approaches his field work. He just wants to be a really, really good player. And that's rubbed off on some of the other guys in that room. Not that they didn't have it before, but they kind of have taken his lead in some ways. He's the oldest guy. He's had 4 years of really good tape in Chicago. And so he brings a lot to the table there. And then we got some young guys in that room still growing. Jamar Jefferson's been here. You see him get better every year that he's been here. Craig Reynolds has been Mr. Consistent from really day one since he stepped in the building. And then we've got some rookies in there that are still learning and finding their way, but show some flashes right now of some big time talent.
Ben, many are concerned about the backup quarterback role, the depth. Are you confident if you just go into the season with what you have here, or does the backup need to be upgraded a little bit? There's still some people out there that are free agency that need jobs.
Yeah, no, I love the room right now. There's a great camaraderie in there, and I think that's really important when you define that backup quarterback position. It's not only a guy that can go in and win games, but for the majority of the season, if all things go right, he's there to support that starter. And we have that. We have that right now, not only with Nate and Hendon and Adrian. We've got a really good group. And they're learning, they're growing. Once again, we're evaluating consistently. We're putting pressure on them consistently to see what they can do out on the field in team settings. There's really the truth really comes out, I believe, when you have the bullets flying for real, and which we can't have right now. So the training camp will tell us a lot about where we're at behind Jared, but so far feel really good about that room.
Hey, Ben, it's your second year as a play caller, probably the first year. Any lessons learned from your first year actually doing it officially? I don't know if you did the year before, but officially from your first year to this year, the do's and don'ts of things that you thought you did last year that I'm not doing this year, or things I want to do this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I grew throughout the season, even from a weekly basis. I'll go back to the Green Bay, the 2 times we played Green Bay last year. The first time, I thought I did a really poor job calling that game, I thought. And then the second time we played them, I grew from some of those experiences we had the first game. So yeah, it's a work in progress. There's certainly things that I learned that I can do a better job keeping our guys in positive situations and giving them the best chance to execute on the field. So, and that's really my goal as a play caller, is just to keep us out of plays that don't have a chance from the get-go.
Position, but what does Sam bring to the table there? And you like the group as a whole? It seems like you got a pretty versatile bunch in that room right now, and how will that help you offensively in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, listen, that's up there. It's probably top 3 in terms of the toughest positions to play in this offense, because there's so much on their plate. It's run game, it's pass game, it's protection. And they have the least amount of meeting time. Truthfully, they've got to be in special teams, and Coach Hayden doesn't have much time. So what he's been doing so far has been pretty remarkable when you see the growth that they've already made in just a couple weeks on the field. In terms of the group right now, they have versatility. All of them do, and that's what Coach Campbell. That's what I want. That's what Coach Hayden wants. We want guys that we can line up all over the place, could be extended, could be inline, could be in the backfield, and still function at a very high level. So the more multiple they are, the better off and more unpredictable we'll be on offense, and I think that's what they all do. Sam Laporte has been extremely impressive for a rookie in terms of digesting the offense right now. James Mitchell's made great strides going into year 2. I see Brock Wright getting better every day right now. Shane Zylstra, same thing. So there's a lot of really encouraging things coming out of that room right now.
Coaching staff additions earlier, you've got,
Yeah.
I think, 3 new on your staff, Scotty, Jim, and Steve. What have they added for you in the collaborative process? I know you like to kind of pick and pull from their, your coaches' experiences.
Yeah, Coach Campbell always brings up, it's not having necessarily the smartest coaches all the time. It's not necessarily having the hardest, the most demanding coach. It's having the right mix, and that's really what we have. We have some guys that are really good teachers. They have extremely good work ethics. They're very demanding out of their position groups, which is really what I look for in an assistant coach. So they all bring that to the table, and then they have completely different offenses that they've come from. Coach Hayden came from really more of the run and shoot from Cliff Kingsbury the last few years, but he's got a wealth of experience playing and coaching in the Bruce Arians system, which we have some concepts from. And Scotty, he's worn so many different hats over the year: quarterbacks, receivers, running backs. He's been a head coach. He's been a play caller, so I can lean on him heavily. And same thing with Jim Hostler. I mean, these guys, it's awesome to be in the room right now because we have so many opinions, and I love it when they bring things up because it just hits me from a different light, and I'm growing. I'm getting better because we have these new voices in the room. Thank you. Anybody want this? You good? You want that? You guys good? You good?